werde jetzt das erste Mal die Oculus Rift in der HD-Version antesten. Christian hat ja bereits schon bei Heise die Möglichkeit gehabt,
die andere Version anzutesten. Damit ist er mir einen Schritt voraus auf jeden Fall. Wir
gucken, viel Spaß, ob mir schlecht wird.
Wir reden jetzt mit jemandem davon, der davon Ahnung hat.
Ja.
So. Before we start, just what's your name?
My name is Nate Mitchell. I'm I'm VP of Product at Oculus. Can't even remember my title. It's been a long Gamescom.
All right, just do your thing. All
right, cool. So, this is Oculus Rift. It's a new virtual reality headset designed specifically for immersive gaming. So the whole idea is to make you feel like you're actually inside the game world. Yeah. That's the goal. So this is the HD prototype. It's actually the first time we've been showing it publicly, like in a at a consumer trade show event, which is pretty cool. And it's basically what we're calling HD VR. So it's built out of one of our dev kits that developers are using right now to build games, but we've dropped in a 1080p screen for a higher resolution experience. What we're going to be showing you is HAWKEN. It's an awesome mech combat game by Meteor and Adhesive, and you're just going to be pretty much exploring this world, fighting other giant robots, having fun. Yeah. Cool?
That sounds quite great.
Do you want to be higher or lower? Is that pretty good? Oh my god. Oh, wait. Alright, you can relax a little bit. Do this for me.
Oh. Wie gefällt's dir?
Ich sitze gerade in einem Mac.
Alright, so do this. Look to the left, look to the right, look up, look down, and look behind you.
Oh my god. Oh shit. Yeah.
See, we love it when people point at the world when he points because it shows how immersive the experience is. So, right before we start, the 4 things that really set the Rift apart. Ultra low latency head tracking, so we track your head movements very, very, very precisely in real time, which is crucial to making it seem like a believable experience. Shaking his head. Stereoscopic 3D. So if you look at the dashboard of the mech, it's much, much closer than way off in the distance. That's, again, really crucial to making it feel real. The last thing is a wide field of view. That makes it so you can't see the screen, so when you look around the world, you're just there in the world, not looking at a TV screen. And then cost. The dev kit's $300, and we want the consumer version to be in the same price range. So, I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to let you play. Thank you for listening.
So this is the HD version.
Yes.
The development kit was about $1,500, right, to get it? Okay, what was the price of it actually?
The development kit we're selling on the website to developers right now for $300 US.
But it was on a higher price, right?
No,
never.
Always been $300.
Okay, because I worked on a magazine and they bought it for $1,500. That's what they told me.
They probably bought it on eBay. I'm not kidding, because at the beginning, we launched the company on Kickstarter, and we're a new company, so manufacturing was difficult for us. So when we were building it, we were building as fast as we could, but we're still back ordered even today. So we've shipped 20,000 units so far. But at the beginning, if you wanted one really badly, eBay was the only way to get one. We want the consumer version to be in that same ballpark of about $300. The HD
is pretty cheap. How can you do that? Because of the screen, it's HD, so it has to be more expensive, right? Or how do you do that?
No, it's actually less expensive than our current screen, give or take. The trick is that, mobile technology, all the technology that makes the Rift possible is really aligned with the mobile industry. Right. So all the technology that has in your cell phone is inside the Rift. So more and more people, people are selling hundreds of millions of these phones every year. So screen technology is racing up and up in terms of quality, and cost continues to drop. And the same thing for all the sensor technology that's in your phone. We're using that to track your head motions in the Rift. So the screen is actually much, much better, but today, only 6 months after we made the development kit, this screen is actually now cheaper than what we shipped the development kit with.
In Germany, there's a guy who invented virtual reality glasses on the prototype of the Oculus, and he just puts his smartphone on the front of it. So this is about $30 or something. What do you think? What's the difference? Why is this so much better than the other virtual reality glasses?
That's a really complicated question. What we're doing is really trying to create the best possible virtual reality experience, because with VR, you can't make too many compromises. You go for immersion, it needs to simulate reality, and you can't cut too many corners there, or else the player won't believe it's an experience, like a real life. So challenges that we battle all the time are things like latency. Latency is probably the biggest enemy of VR, and latency, for the people that don't know, is that when you move your head, how long does it take for the game to update the image and you to receive it after you've made that head movement?
So what's the delay at the moment?
The delay in this demo here is probably about 80 to 90 milliseconds. For great VR, we want to be at 0 milliseconds. Now, our sensor is actually, we've developed a custom head tracking sensor specifically for VR that samples of 1,000 hertz. That's something that almost no other virtual reality headset out there has.
Is it possible to get that close to 0 seconds, milliseconds?
Yes, but it's going to take a little bit more time.
Right.
Basically, LCD technology is one of the things that's really holding us back at the moment, but you know, OLEDs are continuing to be developed and iterated on worldwide. So as that technology comes to market, really, I think there you're going to see a nice drop. And we can also do other neat things in software. A lot of the magic that makes the Rift possible isn't just the hardware stack, but we have a great set of programmers on the team doing things like predictive tracking, head and neck modeling, all these really neat tricks in the research and development and algorithms to make it a much more immersive experience.
I heard you just released a platform for all the virtual reality games and stuff. So what's your aim with that? What do you want to do with this platform?
The goal is really to help developers build better games.
How can you support them?
So developers, you know, they want to share experiences with each other, and we want them to be connected. You know, if you build something and you're like, I built this really neat thing, you know, check it out and see and tell me what you think. Right now, how do you get it to me? You upload it to some website, you send me a link, I write your email. We wanted to streamline that process and make it so that it's very, very easy for developers to share what works in VR and what doesn't. Because so much of VR game design language is completely undefined. There's no rule book, right? This is like a totally blank canvas. So game developers are trying to figure out what works, what doesn't. And we don't necessarily know what's fun in VR or what's not fun. So we wanted a way for devs to really connect and be able to trade experiences and learn from one another faster to hopefully accelerate the process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. So you seem to be pretty excited about your product.
Yeah,
so what's the normal reaction of your visitors here? Because if you are that excited, what's the reaction of a normal user of the Oculus Rift?
I'd say it's pretty positive. I mean, we're doing something, I think, that's a magical experience that people have wanted for a long time. And that's certainly, you know, why I joined the project, absolutely. Because it was, when I first looked, when you look in the Rift, for me, you know, the hair stood up on the back of my neck. And I think a lot of the guys at Oculus had that same experience. It's just, it's something that you like, as soon as you look inside, you're like, oh my God, there's a world inside this headset, you know? And there's just something really magical about it.
So did you hear about Omni? Do you know what it is?
Yes.
So do you have plans to combine these two things, Oculus and Omni? Did you already had contact with the developers of them?
Yeah, so we're good friends with the Omni team, Virtuix team. We also know the WizDish guys. There's another omnidirectional treadmill actually right here, the Cyberint Virtualizer, I think it's called. And we didn't know them, we met them here at the show. But there's a bunch of innovators in this space building new input devices for VR, new systems for VR. You talked about sliding in your mobile phone, that's so cool. So the space is really exploding in a great and exciting way. For Omni, we don't have any plans right now to partner with them. We're really, really focused on sitting down VR and getting that right, because as soon as you get someone standing up, first we're going to blindfold you, and then you're going to be sprinting around. It's a little dangerous. And it's just challenging too, because there's so many things like we talked about, hardware, software, games. We have our hands full, and we want to just nail sitting down VR first, and then we'll move on to a more, you know, even more immersive experience.
So on this games,
I should say, you know, gamers can play their games however they want, and so Omni's very cool technology. I'm really excited to see where that goes down the road.
What do you think? What's the potential of the real potential of the Oculus Rift for you? Because is it just gaming, or how far do you want to go? Can you even imagine maybe whatever? Maybe you can just follow your favorite celebrity or something through his whole life. He got some camera on his phone or whatever. He just, do you know what I mean?
I think for VR, the possibilities really are endless. Sort of like you're talking about. As soon as you wrap your head around the power of VR, the sky's the limit. And people come up with all these great ideas. In fact, even when they take off the Rift for the first time, they'll be like, you know, it would be amazing. And I'm always like, let's hear it, you know? And, you know, our Laird Malamet, our chief operating officer, talks about he wants to go back in time and like go to historical events and, you know, relive them or change them.
Just for history lessons in school or something. You can go to London 1886 or something. Yeah. That would be great.
So what we want to do is focus on building the best gaming platform, because gamers are really... How are you doing?
He's just crying. He's just happy.
totally awesome. It's just you're so in this world, and it's such a new way to explore all the atmosphere of video games. It's breathless.
Did you get motion sick?
No. Nein, bin ich nicht. Also mir geht's super soweit. Es war ein bisschen ein komisches Gefühl, muss ich ganz ehrlich sagen. Wenn man das erste Mal kurz aufhat, man muss vielleicht auch kurz sich einfach dran gewöhnen. Aber das Krasse ist einfach, ich weiß nicht, hat man das hier gesehen am Bildschirm, was ich gemacht habe? Schade. Und zwar, man hat einfach dieses Bauchgefühl bekommen. Also man kann mit diesem Mac fliegen und wenn man runterfällt, bekommt man dieses trotzdem, man sitzt hier, bewegt sich nicht, man bekommt trotzdem dieses Bauchgefühl, das man bei einer Achterbahn zum Beispiel hat. You get the feeling in the stomach, like in a roller coaster, even if you're sitting.
Basically.
Yeah. It's just
it's just your subconscious responding to what you're visually perceiving, right? So we're doing a good enough job of tricking your brain that your body is reacting naturally how it would in real life.
It's amazing because you're just using 2 senses to get this reaction. How that works? It's just so how do you deal with motion sickness? Because I tried the developer version and I got the roller coaster. And after a few minutes, I got a little bit sick. That's just
so the roller coaster is probably one of the most sickness-inducing demos we have, or that the community has created. But it's still fun. What I should say is that simulator sickness, I could talk about it for hours. We gave a talk at GDC about simulator sickness, or at least part of it. In our talk at GDC, GDC Europe, just a few days ago, we did a large part about simulator sickness as well. But the hardware really needs to get better, our hardware and software. So the VR system itself, will it continue to improve? And that's really going to help. There's also individual susceptibility. Some people get sick in cars, some people don't get sick in cars. Everyone's different. The same is true for simulator sickness. And simulator sickness, I should say, is sort of the inverse of motion sickness. Because motion sickness, imagine you're on a boat. There's movement, but you don't see the movement, right? The floor and ceiling staying flat. With this, you see movement, but there is no movement. Okay. So it's sort of the same phenomenon, but
maybe you should just put them into a real Mac, then it would work actually.
It actually would help a lot. Like if you put them into something that lets you actually, like the Omni has that benefit, right? That some of it.
So this would mean the Omni would be the real way to get rid of it.
But it's not perfect. Like I said, we need to improve on a lot of fronts because even that doesn't give you the full acceleration that your vestibular system is expecting when you're moving. Because you're like doing this, not actually moving through space. The last thing is really content. There's always going to be experiences that make people dizzy in VR if we're doing a great job of simulating reality. So if we made a merry-go-round and you were riding it at 1,000 miles an hour, you would get dizzy, you'd get simulator sick. That's always going to be a challenge. So what we're doing is trying to really educate developers on how to build games that don't make people dizzy.
So are also professionals interested to train their military or something with these devices? So do you mean just they can play a real setup in the war or whatever to train their soldiers?
We have people using it for all sorts of stuff. Military training, film, architecture previs. We talked about education. I mean, people are doing all sorts of things with the Rift, and that's very, very exciting because we really did want to build an open platform where our focus could be games, but we built the software stack so that anyone that was interested in virtual reality can really experiment with, VR, because that's the only way we're going to push the medium forward, right? If we want to achieve the Matrix, we need a lot of people working together, not just game developers, but game developers will help a lot.
Thanks for the interview, man.
Yeah, absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Got one question. Are there any plans on including a Z-axis sensor?
Oh,
so you go forward, backwards,
So we want to add positional tracking for the consumer version. Yes. Yes. Not totally guaranteed, but
this thing sounds perfect. I don't know.
If there's a computer screen, you need to be able to look down at it, and right now you can't do that.
Can I use it with glasses? Is it possible?
It's not designed to be used with glasses, but you can use it with glasses. Basically, for the consumer version, we want to have it so that the optics are adjustable, so you can dial in your prescription basically. But right now, you just have to cram them in there. But it's better to see in VR than to not see in VR. You know what I mean?
Are there any plans of including, eye tracking?
That's a really interesting question, and the answer for right now is no. Palmer, the founder and the inventor of the device, has built headsets with eye tracking before, but there is a lot of challenges associated with it right now, and I'd say the two of the biggest ones are just quality of the eye tracking and cost, and that balance isn't quite there yet.
What was the real challenge for you, to build the device or to program all the programming in the back?
I mean, Palmer worked on the device before we all got together for 2.5 years, you know, out of his parents' garage. So he really invested a lot in doing this, and this was the 6th iteration of his design. And you know, we've iterated on it more since we founded the company. So the software side, it's hard, but we have some of the smartest people in the world working on it. We recently announced John Carmack joined as our CTO. John Carmack's one of the godfathers of 2D, 3D graphics, and to have someone like him leading the charge on virtual reality, it's pretty incredible.
It makes so much fun to do an interview with you. We're so excited. Yeah. That's really great.